Jesus is calling, calling, oh sinner, come home. It marks a fundamental transition from life as we know it to another life that we don't know but believe in. It is sad, particularly for the family, Paul, Philip, Lindy, Paul, Rachel, Jody, family, friends, because it's always sad to lose a parent, a grandparent, a relative, or a friend. The Bible says many things about death. Sometimes it can be very straightforward. The writer of Ecclesiastes reminds us that there is this inevitable and perhaps even haunting rhythm to life. It goes like this. There's a time to plant, a time to reap, a time to break down and a time to build up, a time to embrace, a time to refrain from embracing, a time to keep, a time to throw away, a time to weep and a time to laugh, a time to mourn and a time to dance, and ultimately a time to be born and a time to die. The Bible also offers comfort in death as we remember those wonderful words of the Psalms. Yea, though I walk through the valley of the shadow of death, I will what? Fear no evil, for thou art with me. Thy rod and thy staff, they comfort me. And the Bible offers hope that death is not final, as we understand from the words of St. Paul. For I am sure that neither death nor life, nor angels, nor principalities, nor things present, nor things to come, nor powers, nor height, nor depth, nor anything else in all creation will be able to separate us from the love of God in Christ our Lord. Now, I learned years ago that the real message on occasions like these is the person's life. So, who was Eileen Dema? What was she like as a mother, a grandmother, friend, worker, business owner? What did she like? What did she do? How did she live? In a moment, I'm going to give you an opportunity to talk a little bit about Eileen. So family and friends, be thinking of a special memory or an appreciation or a character or personality trait that you feel comfortable sharing on this occasion. It can be funny, serious, or somewhere in between. First, however, Carl will give the eulogy.
See what you do. See what you do.
All right. Thank you all for being here today to celebrate the extraordinary life of my mom, Eileen Dema Farr Mueller. It's incredibly moving to see how many of you are here, people whose lives she's touched with her kindness, her strength, and her boundless generosity. She left an indelible mark on each of us. Mom grew up in a Navy family, which meant moving around a lot in the early years. When Mom was 10 years old, her parents decided to make Alberta their permanent home. As the eldest of 6 children, she naturally took care of her siblings a lot, with great squabble, I'm sure. One time, One time, when she was left in charge, Uncle Gary got so mad about it that he said he was going to run away from home. So Mom packed his bag, set it outside the door, and watched him walk off. He made it about 300 yards before turning around and coming back because he didn't want to give her the satisfaction of getting what she wanted. They lived just a few doors down from where the museum is today. She loved sharing stories of those early days, like getting milk from the neighbors and her mom skimming the cream off the top, in giving her a taste. According to her legend, one day hanging out in downtown Alberta, my dad asked her out for the first time while he was riding by in a car. She said no. I'm not sure what changed her mind, but thank goodness something did. Those memories in our town shaped her lifelong connection to this community. Mom was a trailblazer. She was the first in her family to graduate college, earning a Bachelor's of Science from Auburn University. That drive and determination defined her. On December 21st, 1965, she not only married my dad, but together they began a lifelong partnership built on love, mutual respect, and a shared purpose. They created a legacy that stretched far beyond their family. I'm sure there are different opinions out there, but in my opinion, she raised two great sons, while also enduring the heartbreaking loss of their infant daughter. That kind of loss is unimaginable. Mom's heart, shaped by sorrow, only grew larger and more compassionate. Growing up, Dad was always trying to bring home what he thought would be fun things for us. A leopard, a racing boat, go-karts, alligators, four-wheelers, whatever it was. Basically anything fast and a little bit dangerous. Mom tried to rein him in. For the most part, she didn't. We had an amazing childhood, but we never got that leopard or the racing boat. Mom was a devoted nana. She cherished her grandchildren, Luke, Maddie, Walter, Tabby, Jackson, Lucia, as well as her great niece and nephew, Greta and Brendan. She had a deep love for all of her family, 9 nieces and nephews, and 16 great nieces and nephews. Family was her pride. And her love extended far beyond. In our home, she taught us to welcome everyone. She gave young people their first jobs, second and third chances, a sense of belonging, and even sometimes somewhere to live. Her presence was warm, firm, and always inspiring. If you were in her orbit, you wanted to be better, you wanted to give more, and you wanted to do your best. If you fell short, that was okay, as long as you gave it your all and kept trying. Quitting was never an option. During the holidays, she opened our house to residents of the marina, sailors passing through, neighbors, and friends. We would have the biggest breakfasts on Christmas morning and New Year's morning. If we saw someone on a boat or walking by the house or just down the street, we'd invite them in. For many, it became a tradition and they became part of our extended family. For 38 years, Mom worked as a medical technologist. She took great pride in that work. It was always interesting and allowed her to help others. Her understanding of the human body, especially the lab sciences, never faded. It was amazing to hear her explain the chemical workings of the body. 1997 was a terrible year for my mom. She not only lost both of her parents, but she also lost my dad. However, through her grief, she accomplished much and taught Paul and I how to persevere. After Dad passed, her love and devotion to him never wavered. She poured her heart into continuing their legacy. She worked side by side with Paul and I, offering guidance for major decisions and suggestions when we occasionally disagreed.
Occasionally? Yeah. Use the word loosely.
Occasionally. We knew we could always count on her pragmatism, steadiness, and fairness. She guided us with calm love during that hectic time in our lives. Well, during all the times in our lives. That same year, along with many members of our boating community, she co-founded the Perdido Wood Boat Association and helped organize and run the Wood Boat Show for 25 years. What did she enjoy most about those shows? It was not the boats. It was the sea shanties, and also the tradition and community associated with it. After retirement, she served 14 years on the board of the Sadie Haber Center, fiercely advocating for individuals with disabilities. During that same time, she was one of the original organizers and board member of the Alberta Public Library, helping create a place for learning, imagination, and opportunity in the community that shaped her. My mom never supported causes, she built solutions. She gave her time, her energy, her heart to make the world more inclusive, more generous, and more compassionate. She had an incredible passion for reading and learning. Growing up, when she had a free moment, there was always a book in her hand. When we were teenagers, Mom wanted to get through more books faster, so she took speed reading classes. Watching her flip through those pages after that was wild. Page after page just flew through them, and she retained it all. Literally, she could read a page in about 5 seconds. It was amazing. Her house was and still is a diverse mini library. She had many interests. There were books about everything in that house. Growing up, we had every book that ever read. Two sets of encyclopedias, books about science, math, anything. It was crazy. That's probably why Paul and I are full of what some might call useless facts. But really, there's this love of learning that she instilled in us. She was always seeking knowledge and sharing her wisdom, basically making the world a better place. As we celebrate her life today, let's not just carry our sorrow, but our gratitude as well. Gratitude for her love, for her fierce dedication, and the way she made each of us feel seen, supported, and truly valued. She taught us to give without hesitation and to build things that matter, and to love those with all of our hearts. Thank you, Mom, for living such a beautiful life. We'll carry your spirit with us in everything we do. All right.
I didn't know if I was going to be able to speak or not. I had a hard time sitting down and thinking about anything, but I finally did it a couple days, yesterday morning actually. So I have a hard time remembering individual stories and events. They all tend to get mixed up together. I remember she always took care of us when we were sick. Sprite and chicken and star soup were always part of the treatment. If she ever thought we had a testable illness, Mom would wake us up extra early in the morning, draw our blood, and take it to work with her to check it. So that was interesting. In the evening, I remember her reading Dr. Seuss books at bedtime, especially The Birthday Bird and Did I Ever Tell You How Lucky You Are? One of her favorite poems she read to us was Dillicky Dollicky Dinah, a poem by Laura Richards. It was published in a childcraft anthology that we had in some of that library that Carl was talking about. Overall, she gave Carl and I enough space to explore everything around us without hovering, while being sure we didn't hurt ourselves too badly, and reining in Dad, just like Carl said. If we had questions about something in the world around us, she would answer them. If she did not know the answer, she would go look it up in one of the books that we had in the house. When I got older and I had science questions, she always had an answer, especially about anything related to chemistry or biology. While in college, the tables turned a little bit. She would call me with computer questions. Sometimes those conversations didn't go very well. One time in particular, Mom needed some help with some accounts receivable software I had written for Pirates Cove. She couldn't figure out how to go to the next screen, so I told her to press do it. Well, this proceeded to turn into a who's on first sort of scenario. What Mom didn't realize was there was a button at the bottom of the screen that said do it. She got quite angry at me, then finally saw what I was talking about and got through the problem. At the time, she was pretty aggravated with me, but eventually it turned into a funny story. I'm sure I caused confusion right out of the gate. I have a habit of leaving out important details when giving instructions. Mom never missed an opportunity to tell me that I had left out some important information that would have made life simpler. Sometimes that correction came out sarcastically, sometimes jokingly, sometimes angrily. But it was always out of love. I'm going to miss her, but I'm so glad she and Dad are back together.
Just remind people.
Would anyone like to share something?
Yes, I will.
Tell us your name, relation, and we'll go from there.
Good afternoon, everybody. My name is Tom Weaver. My wife, Beth Weaver. Many of you probably know me or at least heard of me. However, Green Weaver was our boat for 30-some-odd years. That we kept here for over 20 years during the summers and traveled about. We were at the very first wood boat show and the very last and all the ones in between. Paul Phillip and Carl were youngsters, and they still are. But I have a story about Eileen, who was just the most wonderful, giving, thoughtful person that you could ever meet. Now, my wife and a good neighbor down here, Joe Maloney, who I'm sure all of you know, or many of you, their birthdays are exactly 5 years to the day apart. And on my wife's, it's hard to say this, but on my wife's 70th birthday many years ago, Eileen was giving a party for my wife and Joe here. And she had all the settings set up. Everything was beautiful, spotlessly beautiful in here, in the eating area. I was there, my wife Pat, and Joe was here, as well as all the girls and everybody else. And Eileen came in with this most beautiful strawberry cake you ever saw in your life. Big cake. Made the first step, fell, and dropped the cake right on the floor. I'm sure all of you know what this place is famous for, and it's not these boys, it's for the dogs. And they had to fight me off for it. But in any event, Eileen didn't miss a beat. She snapped it right up, brushed it off, and set it on the table. It was beautiful. It was beautiful. The day went off without a hitch. Without a hitch. One other occasion I can remember is we were all sitting here, and I'm sure many of you remember this many years ago, when I think there was like 21 inches of rain here overnight, and this whole place flooded. Well, it was the weekend before the boat show. Everything was set up. Everything was done. This floor was underwater, and it happened at night. It fortunately did not breach the main room and the freezers and everything else. However, Eileen met me down here the next morning along with everyone else, and whoosh, cleaned it up, picked it up, and had one of the best boat shows that they ever had. It was great. It was great. Eileen Mueller is only one person that you could relate to, anyone could relate to. She gave everybody a feeling of warmth, a feeling of caring, a feeling of you're important just as well as everyone else is important. We're going to miss her. We're all love her. And I'm so fortunate that I am still able to be here today to meet with the boys, to meet with the family, to just let them know that we all love her so dearly. And that's Eileen Mueller. There's only one, and there will only be one. Thank you.
Anyone else? You want to come up here?
My name is Lisha Mueller, granddaughter of Nana and daughter of Rachel and Carl. When I was born, I had some yellow skin. I was jaundiced. That means my skin turned yellow and my liver stopped working. And Nana saved my life. She pricked my foot to lose blood to find a cure. And I was growing up, my family and I often visit her on Monday for supper. She cooked the best meals, even the red beans and rice. She has a big smile. She helps me when I feel a little blue, too. She's like a super Nana to me. And now I'm going to miss her. But she'll live in our hearts. And I will always carry a spirit of her. All of us will. And we will live her lessons of life all day long. Forever. Always.
For anyone else? Well, I've got a few words. Not many. I actually did not know Eileen that well. She would attend our Wednesday night studies, particularly if we were reading something in literature, world religions, or philosophy. If the subjects were on the edge a bit, you could count on Eileen being there. She was one of those people who didn't speak that much, but when she did speak, she was worth hearing. I always felt akin to the comments she made. We seemed to connect on big picture issues, which may be why I'm doing this today. I would like to think she was a kindred spirit. Eileen was a big soul person. Her family table was always set for more than her own. In the Sermon on the Mount, Jesus challenged people to feed the hungry, clothe the naked, and visit the sick and lonely. Eileen took that challenge seriously. If you were around the Cove, particularly during Christmas or Thanksgiving, and you didn't have a place to go, well, Eileen was there for you. She would see that her table included you. Though Eileen had a formal career as a medical technologist, she was also involved in civic and cultural affairs. As you've already heard, co-founder of the Perdido Woodboat Association, founding member of the Alberta Public Library, and served on the Cindy Haber Sidra Board of Directors, and that was an association dedicated to helping people with disabilities. But her life was inextricably attached or connected to the Cove. In an interview given on March the 13th, 2005, here are some comments she made about the Cove. First, regarding hours of operation. Quote, in those days, Paul, her husband, put in 18-hour days on a routine basis. Not in the wintertime, but always in the summer. He had the store open at 8 o'clock, and he didn't leave until people left. There was no closing time. People would ask, what time do you close? And Paul's mother, this kid is right, always said, when people go home. I don't think businesses operate with those hours today, do they? Second, oh, they do? They still operate that here? Note what she said when faced with the opportunity of selling the Cove. Quote, on one occasion, about 25 years ago, we had an opportunity to sell the Cove for a lot of money, for more money than we could contemplate. We sat down. We were so excited. When we sat down and tried to think of what we wanted to do with all the money, well, every idea we came up with had something to do with Cove. So if we sold it, then we didn't have it anymore. What would we spend the money on? We couldn't figure it out, so we said, never mind. But here's the PS. We never regretted the decision not to sell. We've never looked back and said, gee, I wish I'd done that. That's how Eileen felt about this place. Finally, here's the essence of Eileen's wisdom and life. Quote, I think I am the luckiest woman alive. I can walk to Jody's house in probably 30 seconds, Paul Phillips, maybe 45 seconds, and the same for Carl. They can't see my house, and I can't see theirs. That's an important thing. It's important to be close, but far enough away that everybody has their own lives. I am the luckiest woman alive. That just about says it all, doesn't it? We would all covet those words as our own epithets. What a lady. The last thing I want to say is about this tie. You can't see it, but it's probably older than some of you here. I wear this to every celebration of life or funeral that I do. It's got a bunch of sheep on it. And it reminds us of this parable Jesus told about a lost sheep. It's one of the shortest parables in the New Testament. And it's in the form of a question. Jesus asked, what man among you, having 100 sheep, if he loses one of them, does not leave the 99 in the wilderness and goes and searches for that lost sheep until he finds it, puts it on his shoulder, takes it home, calls his family and friends together, they have a party, and the angels in heaven rejoice. Now what's the meaning of that? In the kingdom of God, no one gets lost. Not because we deserve it or don't deserve it, not because we've earned it, but because that's the nature of the shepherd, the good shepherd, to find those that are lost. Now, the prophet Isaiah says, all we like sheep have what?
Gone astray.
Gone astray. So in a sense, we're all lost, but the shepherd finds us all. And what that means to me is that the hands into which Eileen Mueller now resides will be the hands one day you and I will also reside. Again, not because we've earned it, Not because we deserve it, but because that's the nature of the Good Shepherd. Eileen knew that Good Shepherd well because she participated in those activities of finding the lost. God bless Eileen.
I'm Carolyn Armstrong, and I go to the church up here. And I've known Eileen for over 30 years. And I got to know Eileen. I didn't prepare anything, so I hope you didn't speak in just wandering, I guess. But I got to know Eileen and Paul, of course, when my late husband, Bill Waller, and we came down to this area, and it was just at the time when Paul was finishing up the big marina out here. You know, some of you may not know, there was a big marina all out here. How many boat slips do you reckon to have?
103.
103, yeah. Well, we bought a houseboat, and we took one of those boat slips. I'll tell you, that was one of the best times of my life. Because we had that, you know, we could come and we would stay sometime. One time we lived on it for 6 months while we're in between houses or whatever. But, you know, we would be there and, you know, everything here was laid back. And I know you have a great business now, but, you know, back then it was really cool because, you know, there weren't a whole lot of people here. And in the late afternoon, we would come over to the store and we'd sit around the bar and, you know, Larry and Rick Cheekwood, you know, would all be there. We'd talk to them. And of course, you know, some other people were there. And we just got to know people so well. And your dad would come over and he would talk. They were both Marines. My husband and I were both Marines. And he would tell us some amazing stories about being a recon guy in the Marines. Now, that was amazing. I could just see him do all of that. But then we would come out, you know, later and sit out here on the deck. This used to be all a great big open air deck, you know, no cover or anything. And Eileen would be down here a lot of times. So we really got to know them well. And, you know, we came to the Thanksgiving dinners because we were here a whole lot when that happened. We came to a couple of Christmas dinners. I have a really cute picture of your dad with the Santa hat on. And, but we really appreciated that. And, you know, Eileen and Paul both, they love their employees, the liveaboards out there, and the regular customers that came. They got to know them, and they loved them like family. That's why they would invite them up here and into their homes, everything, and they just became a big part of my life, and I appreciate it. I appreciate it.
So I want to thank everybody for coming out. It's been really beautiful. Thanks for the stories. And, just that all y'all came out means a lot to all of us. We are serving food inside if you'd like to eat. You do it, and you're in the go, that's fine as well. But we'll be happy to have you. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
There ain't no place I'm going to. Hey, Mr. Tambourine Man, play a song for me. And the jingle jangle morning, I'll come following you. Though I'm not, good evening, Jim Farr has returned to sand, vanished from my hand, left me blindly here to stand, but still not sleeping. My weariness amazes me, I'm frightened dead on my feet.